Hey, it's Aunt Shazy with another free thing to do in Colorado Springs. Well, close to Colorado Springs. We live on the east side, so it's about 45 minutes from us, but it's over an hour away from downtown. But in my humble opinion, totally worth the drive. The Painted Mines Interpretive Park is not only breathtaking, but packed with history. Going way, way back to 55 million years ago when the area was the Castle Rock tropical hardwood forest. As time passed, the land was covered by white sandstone, known as the Dawson Arrows Formation, and its existence is evidence of the uplift and erosion of Pikes Peak, America's mountain. Driving anywhere in the Colorado Springs area, you can see the majestic mountain, and most of us locals use it to tell which direction we're driving. The history of the area encompassing the paint mines is a rich tapestry woven from geological wonders, indigenous cultural practices, pioneer settlement, and ultimately a dedicated preservation effort. The paint mines have been weathered by rain and wind, but the colors are still brilliant. The vibrant bands of pink, purple, yellow, and orange that define the park are the product of complex geological processes that occurred long before any foot ever touched the soil. Millions and millions of years ago, this area was defined by shallow seas and large lake basins. In this environment, rivers and streams carved vast amounts of sediment, depositing layers of fine clay and sand. Crucially, this period saw significant volcanic activity in the region. Ash from distant eruptions was carried by wind and water, settling into the wetland basins. This ash was high in minerals including iron oxide and aluminum. Over millions of years, as these sediments were deeply buried and compacted into rock, chemical reactions occurred. The volcanic ash weathered and mixed with the clays, specifically kaolinitic clay. The resulting oxidation, the rusting of the iron within the soil, created the spectacular spectrums of colors we see today. The specific colors depend on the state of oxidation and hydration of the iron minerals, so reds and pinks signify one stage, while yellows and purples signify another. Eventually, the seas retreated and the regional climate dried. The real sculpting began over the last few million years. The relentless forces of wind and water erosion, coupled with the seasonal freeze-thaw cycle, began eating away the softer surrounding sandstone. The tougher caprock provided some protection, creating the delicate, fantastical shapes known as the hoodoos, spires, and balanced rocks that characterize the park's visual landscape. For thousands of years before European explorers arrived, the paint mines were a place of immense cultural, practical, and spiritual significance to indigenous peoples. Archaeological evidence, including lithic scatters, which are flakes of stone made from tool making and hearth remains, suggests that various nomadic bands used this area for at least 9,000 years, from the Paleo-Indian period through to historic times. While the rugged terrain might not have supported a permanent settlement, it was a crucial resource destination. The paint mines offered two invaluable materials. The first was the chert and jasper, forms of silica found within the sandstone layers. This durable stone was ideal for making arrowheads, scrapers, knives, and other essential tools. The second and perhaps more defining resource was the vibrant clay itself. These iron-rich deposits provided a natural, abundant source of pigment. By grinding the colored clays into fine powder and mixing them with binders like water, animal fat, and plant oils, indigenous peoples created brilliant ochre paints. These colors, especially the reds, yellows, and blacks from charcoal, were central to many aspects of life. They were used for body art, for decorating hide clothing and teepees, for ritual purposes, and for creating pictographs. Many tribes, including the Ute, Arapaho, Cheyenne, Kiowa, and Apache, utilized the area and considered it culturally important. Some contemporary accounts suggest that neighboring tribes respected the site as neutral ground, a shared sanctuary where groups could gather to harvest the essential pigments. The arrival of Euro-American settlers in the mid-19th century fundamentally altered the relationship between humans and the paint mines. Following the 1859 gold rush, ranches and homesteads began to dot the eastern plains. For early settlers, the paint mines were largely viewed through the lens of utilitarian and industrial value. The complex geology that created the beautiful colors also created deposits of high-quality kaolin clay. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, this clay was recognized as an important industrial resource. Kaolin is excellent for making bricks, ceramics, and porcelain. Several small-scale commercial clay mines and quarries operated intermittently within the current park boundaries. Bricks made from the paint mine clay were used to construct buildings in the nearby town of Calhan and beyond. Evidence of this quarrying, like old tracks, equipment foundations, and the general worked look of some areas, can still be seen by sharp-eyed visitors, blending now into the naturally eroded landscape. This period of direct extraction, though relatively short-lived compared to the site's long human history, marked the era when the earth was mined for more than just color. As the 20th century progressed, the industrial value of the clay waned, but the scenic and ecological value of the unique landscape rose. By the late 1960s and 70s, the paint mines, then often referred to as the Calhan paint mines, were popular among locals for recreation, but the lack of protection was evident. Off-road vehicles were common, leading to significant damage to the fragile geological formations and increasing erosion. Overgrazing was another issue, as private landowners used the area for cattle. And let me take a minute to tell you about the town of Calhan. I honestly didn't know much about the town, even though it isn't that far away from where I live. My research says that it was founded in 1888 as a water stop for the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific Railroad. Steam locomotives needed regular water refills, and this stop quickly became a natural place for settlement. The town was named after Michael Calhan, a railroad contractor who helped build the line from the Colorado-Kansas border to Colorado Springs. Did you notice I said Calhan? Interestingly, when the post office opened later that same year, the spelling was shortened to Calhan, which stuck. By 1906, a larger railroad depot, which is still standing today, was built to handle increasing traffic and support the growing community. The town was officially incorporated in 1919. But, like many rail towns, as rail travel declined in the mid-20th century and highways became more important, Calhan transitioned into a quieter rural town. The Rock Island Line eventually went bankrupt in the 1970s, marking the end of an era. Today, it has fewer than 1,000 residents. The 2020 census put it at 762. But back to the paint mines and how it became the park it is today. A movement for preservation emerged, championed by local residents, conservationists, and the El Paso County government. The goal was to secure the unique, multifaceted landscape, geological, biological, and historical, for public use and ecological health. The turning point came in the early 1990s. The Conservation Fund, a national nonprofit, worked to negotiate the acquisition of private lands within and around the mines. Finally, in 1997, El Paso County officially purchased the core acreage of the current park, using funds from the county's capital improvements budget and a major grant from the state of Colorado's Great Outdoors Colorado Lottery Fund. Today, the Painted Mines Interpretive Park stands as a premier example of 21st century conservation. It's located in northeast El Paso County and covers 750 acres. For wildlife lovers, you might see coyote, mule deer, pronghorn sheep, antelope, or shorthorn lizards in the area. Also, a variety of birds like hawks, mourning doves, magpies, and more, so keep your camera handy. When visitors arrive at the paint mines, they're greeted by a well-developed network of interpretive trails. Nearly 4 miles of paths wind through the prairie and directly into the colorful gulches. Crucially, the focus has shifted entirely from extraction to interpretation and protection. The park emphasizes this as a non-collection site. Visitors are forbidden from removing rocks, plants, or the colored clay itself. Please don't be a jerk and do that. It's a policy that's essential for preserving the fragile formations and respecting the archaeological heritage. Climbing on the hoodoos and spires is also strictly prohibited to prevent damage. And every time I've been there, I've seen someone doing it. Don't do that. The interpretive value is core to the contemporary mission. Along the trails, visitors encounter detailed signs and exhibits that unfold the park's history, explaining the deep time geology in more depth than I can, the cultural significance to indigenous peoples, and the efforts of preservation. Educational programs and ranger-led tours provide deeper insights, making the park a living classroom for students, geologists, and history enthusiasts like me. It is a place where one can truly walk through time, seeing the literal palette of the past and appreciating the careful balance required to ensure this remarkable landscape remains a vibrant legacy for generations to come. I know it takes my breath away every time we go. The history of the area known as the Painted Mines is not just in the ground. It's actually being written by those who visit and choose to protect it. The park itself is a designated archaeological district on the National Register of Historic Places. It is open throughout the year from dawn till dusk, and as I mentioned, is free to visit. More information can be found on visitcos.com. Have you been to the Painted Mines? Is it on your bucket list? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching. And feel free to share this video with a friend that will be in the Colorado Springs area.